San Jose, California, the heart of Silicon Valley and one of the fastest growing cities in America, today plays host to some of the world's finest gymnasts. Featuring 16-year-old Shannon Miller, the reigning queen of gymnastics since winning the 1993 World All-Around Championship and her 5-medal performance in Barcelona last summer. And joining Shannon Miller today is Dominique Daws, known by her teammates as Awesome Dawson. She was 4th in the all-around at the recent World Championships, and she's always a crowd favorite with her explosive tumbling. From Belarus, Vitali Sherbo, perhaps the greatest male gymnast of all time, the winner of 6 gold medals in Barcelona's Olympics, and the recent World All-Around Champion in Birmingham. And from the Ukraine, Tatiana Lysenko, the 18-year-old winner of gold in Barcelona on the balance beam. And recently, the all-around gold medalist at the World University Games. These superstars, along with other greats from the US, the Ukraine, and Belarus, have gathered here today on ESPN, the Total Sports Network, to showcase the strength and power and grace of gymnastics in the 1993 San Jose Gymnastics Spectacular. Welcome to the Event Center on the campus of San Jose State University for the San Jose Gymnastics Spectacular. Hi everyone, I'm Bart Connor, and we're glad you've joined us for today's gymnastics exhibition featuring 3 of the finest gymnastics teams in the world, the United States, the Ukraine, and Belarus. As a matter of fact, there are 11 Olympic athletes here, winners of 19 medals at the Barcelona Olympics, so we're in for a great day of gymnastics. And joining me, as always, is Olympic medalist Cathy Johnson. And among those 11 Olympians, the 2 best gymnasts in the world are here to perform, Vitali Sherbo and Shannon Miller.
And Shannon Miller really began her ascent to becoming the world's greatest gymnast at the 91 World Championships in Indianapolis, where she won 2 silver medals. Then at the 92 Olympic Games in Barcelona, when all the pressure was on Kim Zmeskal to win the all-around title, it was Shannon Miller who performed flawlessly and won 5 Olympic medals and just narrowly missed winning the all-around title. Then when many of the athletes retired or took a break, she went home, trained harder than ever, and won the World Championship all-around title in '93 and 2 more gold medals in the uneven bars and floor exercise.
And when you talk about the world's best, of course, Shannon Miller to perform, but Vitali Sherbo, the winner of 6 gold medals at the Olympics in Barcelona and the recent world all-around champion, and this guy is some gifted gymnast.
Well, those 6 Olympic medals confirms that, but more important, his life is a whirlwind now. He rarely has time to train. In fact, he said he only had 2 weeks to train for the World Championships in Birmingham, yet he still won the all-around, though making a few little mistakes.
As a matter of fact, Sherbo flew in here 3 hours ago to perform in this exhibition. He flew all the way from West Germany to be here for this show. So we're in for a great day of gymnastics, and we're glad you've tuned in to the San Jose Gymnastics Spectacular. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to San Jose and the 1993 San Jose Gymnastics Spectacular. We're on the campus of San Jose State University at the Event Center. This is Bart Connor along with Cathy Johnson, and we're getting ready to see Cheney Humphrey, national team member from the U.S., perform on the high bar. And as we said at the top of the show, this is an exhibition, not a competition, so you'll hear music behind the performances, you'll see spotlights and different types of costumes. And it's a completely different look of gymnastics than what we normally see in competition, Cathy.
Most important, Bart, you won't see any judges, and I think the gymnasts like that.
Cheney has had a terrific year this year, just came from competing in the World University Games in Buffalo. He had a difficult 92 when he was just edged off of competing on the 92 Olympic team. He placed 8th in the trials, and they took 7th to the Olympic Games. Watch his release moves on the high bar.
He is such a powerful gymnast. It even comes through here on the high bar.
He's a student at UCLA, 2 more quarters to go to finish his degree. Shaney Humphrey, 22 years old. He said before the show he hopes to compete on through the '96 Olympics in Atlanta, and he'd be a great addition to the U.S. team there. Amazingly powerful gymnast. Now we're going over to the floor exercise to see our first woman performer in this show. This is Lilia Podkopaeva, and we saw her recently in the World Championships in Birmingham. She's from the Ukraine, and she is an exciting tumbler, Kathy.
I think we are in for a big treat. This first tumbling pass, if she does what she warmed up, is a double front somersault. Incredibly difficult. Look at that, and so difficult to land.
She's only 14 years old, and yet she has amazing power in her tumbling.
Oh, no! A little too much power there, Bart. She's done all front tumbling. Here comes her back tumbling. A full twisting double back at the end of her routine. Very difficult.
Lilia Podkopaeva, only 14 years old. And Kathy, you were right. She just overpowered this tumbling pass.
This is really surprising because she has such extraordinary technique on front tumbling in order to do that double front. Here she does front handsprings to a front flip. Now she's going to go right into a 1.5 twist on that front flip and just over-rotate it.
Now we're going over to the uneven bars. This is Amanda Borden from Cincinnati. She's 16 years old, and she was an alternate on the Olympic team in '92 and an alternate on the World Championship team in '93. And she had a big year last year in '92. Surprised a lot of people to place 5th in the U.S. Championships.
She was the alternate at the World Championships, and she really said that has helped her in terms of knowing what she needs to do.
Kathy, she has an unusual dismount that, as you mentioned with Podkopaeva, she does a double front off. It's very difficult to land.
She does it very well. It's coming up after this release move here. Watch, she turns around and goes right into it. Double front. Oh, no.
One of America's upcoming stars, Miss Amanda Borden. If you'd like to see Amanda again, watch the Olympic Sports
Here's that front somersault. She does that very nicely. Perfect distance away from the bar.
Olympic champion. And we're ready now to go.
Keep in mind, for these gymnasts, they're not used to performing in front of spotlights, so some of the release moves and dismounts are going to be a little more difficult because gymnastics is trying to push the entertainment value of the sport, and so they're adding music and spotlights to the performances, and I think it's a nice touch. This is now Alexander Shostak. He's from Belarus on the pommel horse. He's a silver medalist at the 1992 Junior European Championships, and this young man shows a tremendous amount of difficulty and extension on the pommel horse. Born in Minsk, of course, the hometown of Vitali Sherbo, the reigning star of men's gymnastics. That was Alexander Shostak. We'll be back with more world-class gymnastics from San Jose right after this.
Both have a spot on the national team. You're going to see them both here today. But first up on the balance beam, here's Olga Yurkino.
For many years, the superpower of the Soviet Union created so many sports stars. But the dissolution of the USSR and the discarding of communist politics and socialist economics has had a dramatic effect on that famous Soviet sports machine. 2 of the 15 now independent republics are here to perform today, the Ukraine and Belarus. Their stars reflect on the resulting changes in their lives.
It was very sad for her because a lot of friends gone, and the way they act, they perform gymnastics exercises, were going from generation to generation, and a lot of traditions were lost.
It's a little bit different. It's more responsibility. He is now more responsible for yourself and prepare himself mentally and physically better, and he thinks it's better because he like more responsible. He's in charge of his own.
Hey, welcome back to San Jose. Kathy, as we saw in that piece, the whole Soviet sports system has changed so dramatically. It's hard to say where these athletes are going to end up in a few years with all these dramatic changes.
I have to agree with Tatiana Lysenko. It was a little sad for me to see it happen because you and I both know the great gymnastics that came out of the former Soviet Union. I only hope they continue to come out of the individual republics.
Well, as our show continues here, Rustam Sharipov on the high bar. He happens to be the gold medalist in the World Championships on the high bar in Paris, and we saw him recently in Birmingham at the World Championships, and he has a very daring routine. As the judges these days require more and more difficulty, it seems like a welcome challenge for the gymnasts because they love to do the high-flying release moves, and to be honest, that's what the crowd likes best as well.
Look at his first release move. Unbelievable. Gaylord front somersault, except in a straddle position. Unbelievable height on 3 reverse hecks in a row.
He catches right out at the end of his fingertips. Very daring moves.
Oh, that's when you're glad the judges aren't there. You can kind of laugh. The crowd still enjoys it.
He's been in this country several times, and he's a real favorite because he's so outgoing, and he speaks English beautifully, and he's always talking to the crowd and hamming it up.
Look at the height above the bar. And that's his first of 4 release moves in the same routine. You'll notice in exhibition format, they're allowed to use that crash mat. Makes it hard to stick the landing, unfortunately, but it's a lot easier on their body.
In her free time. Would you please welcome now on the uneven bars?
Well, he did a triple, and then he did a -1, so the result is only a double back for Rustam Sharipov as we get ready now to go over to the uneven bars. This is Yulia Yurkina. She, by the way, is performing in this show with her twin sister, Olga.
And we had a terrible time telling which one was which at the beginning.
No, it was easy. One had a blue barrette and one had a pink one.
Front somersault in height position. It's one of the more difficult release moves on the uneven bars. This is a Ginger. Somersault with a half twist. Dismounted, double twisting flyaway. Excellent landing. Just beautiful, clean form.
The 16-year-old champion of Belarus performs beautifully on the uneven bars. Now we're going to have a chance to see Dominique Daws perform on the balance beam, and Dominique has been such a crowd favorite for the Americans. Dominique Daws she was awesome Dawson by her team.
She's been on the senior national team for 2 years and been in gymnastics for 10 years, and she's only 9 years old.
And 2 silver medals on the bars and the balance beam.
Her favorite event, everything.
Her chance to really
And
show
I
off
think
for the
her
crowd.
favorite sports hero is Charles Barkley. I remember
Yeah,
that.
it really helps me when they cheer me on and my teammates on, and that really gets me throughout the competition and motivates me a lot.
She's a great tumbler. She scored a perfect 10.
Now on the balance beam, this is Dominique Daws, and Kathy, she had a terrific championship in Birmingham and was so close to winning the all-around title, but she did win a silver medal on this event.
And quite honestly, I think she probably should have won the gold medal on this event, based on her level of difficulty compared with the rest of the field. Watch the height and the amplitude here on these straddle jumps. With the new code of points or the new rules, they're requiring a higher level of difficulty in order to score well. Watch these 3 layout step outs in a row.
That's amazing.
Many of these more difficult skills earn bonus points for the gymnast.
She gained so many fans with her performance in the Worlds because she really went for the gold medal in the last round. She had to make a vault, and she went for it, and she had a tremendous amount of support from the fans there who was happy that she went for it. She, of course, made a slight mistake and dropped out of the medals, only placed 4th. But I think she gained a lot of fans from that, don't you, Kathy?
Not only did she gain fans, but she gained a lot of confidence going into another World Championships or maybe the Olympic Games in Atlanta.
She knows she can compete with the best now.
Dismount, full twisting double back.
Dominique Daws, USA.
Shows you really how powerful she is. She actually had a little trouble on those back handsprings, generating enough speed and momentum. This was the best pass. Just 1 back handspring. Now watch this. 3 layouts right in a row. 1, 2, and the third one right on the end of the balance beam. And a great landing.
He's 5'3.5" and only weighs out.
From Dominique Daws, now we go over to the floor exercise. This is 18-year-old Ivan Ivankov. We saw him in Birmingham. He was 4th in the all-around. He won a bronze medal on the rings. And Ivankov is from Minsk, of course, the same hometown as Vitali Sherbo. And by the way, Olga Korbut comes from Minsk in Belarus. He's an exciting tumbler.
We're really seeing a lot more front tumbling passes these days.
Look at the beautiful form, toe point, body line, and extension. It's so typical of the gymnasts from Belarus. Kathy, we've talked so many times about the improved technique. He almost fell out of bounds there on that Y scale. Whoops. And a pike double back dismount. Kathy, we've talked so many times about the improved technique, and we'll talk more about that when we come back to San Jose and continue with our gymnastics of the world's best. And welcome back to the 1993 San Jose Gymnastics Spectacular on the campus of San Jose State University. Bart Connor and Kathy Johnson here. We're getting ready now to see Chris Waller on the still rings from the United States. Chris Waller, by the way, has been 4 years on the U.S. national team. And every year that he's been on the national team, he's won at least 1 national title. He was a bronze medalist in the Goodwill Games on the still rings, which we're going to see him perform now. And by the way, a finalist in the 92 Olympics and the 93 World Championships on his specialty, pommel horse. Still rings is perhaps one of the most difficult of the men's events because the gymnasts have to combine strength and swinging elements, all the while keeping the rings completely still. Chris opens up with 2 excellent L-cross moves and a straight arm press to a handstand. One of Chris's best qualities has been his body line. He always has good, tight body line, excellent toe point, and good basic positions. It's a clean-looking style. His dismount, a laid out, full out, which is new for Chris. Just a little short, but as you said, Kathy, it's a good thing that there are no judges here.
And it's a perfect opportunity to try new things before competition.
Okay, we're ready for our next gymnast. She's going to be.
Now we're going to go over to the balance beam and take a look at 19-year-old Ludmila Stovchataya. We've seen her before in the States, Kathy, and she's always had an interesting style, but I don't remember her having blonde hair the last time we saw her.
No, that's changed. Ludmila's the oldest performer for the women here. She's 19 years of age, just as Chris was the oldest male. He's 24.
Seems kind of ironic that she's 19, Kathy. When you competed in your first World Championships, you were 19 years old and just getting started.
And I thought I was young. Nobody told me I wasn't. She just won a gold medal at the World University Games for the team, and she was second on the balance beam. Watch this. It's a backspin invented by a Chinese gymnast, Li Li. Dismount planned. It's a full twisting double back in hiked position. Right there. Very nicely done.
Beautiful.
Perfect landing. Maybe it was worth the extra little amount of concentration before the dismount.
That really was a spectacular dismount, Kathy.
This dismount is made even more difficult by doing it in pike position. Notice she keeps her legs straight, and look at that landing.
Kathy, by the way, a few minutes ago we saw Chris Waller on the still rings. We talked about his gymnastics accomplishments, but we neglected to mention that his most important accomplishment recently is the marriage to Cindy Olkowski, June 19th. Congratulations to Chris and Cindy. We'll be back with more gymnastics later on.
Did you guys have time to go on a honeymoon? Or? Yeah.
This is a new pass she's been working on. Front with a full twist. Finalist on this event at the World Championships and did very well, placed 6th in the world. Nice high double back at the end.
15-year-old Carrie Strug. Now our next performer, Vitali Sherbo, follows in the tradition of so many great former Soviet gymnasts. Sherbo, of course, won more gold than any gymnast in the Olympics by taking 6 gold medals in Barcelona with a record-setting performance. He intends on competing all the way till 1996, and he's right now with Kathy Johnson.
Vitali, you never cease to amaze us. First 6 gold medals at the Olympics. You come back, win the World Championship all-around title. You're hardly even able to train, though. You're all over the world. Tell us about your life right now.
My life is very hard now. I have a lot of trips, a lot of exhibition and competition for all over the world. And for me, it's very hard to learn new tricks in my gymnastics, to take care of my baby, of my wife. And it's very hard, but you know, life is life.
What are your goals, your next big competition, and how will you train for it?
You mean in Buffalo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I prepared to competition. I began prepared for 1 week before the competition, it was not enough for competition, but you know, I'm professional and I did good.
Good luck.
Thank
We look
you.
forward to seeing you in the future. Back to you, Bart.
And of course, the only medal he didn't win was won by our American Trent Demas. He won 4 medals, including the all-around gold at the 93 World Championships. And also
Vitali Sherbo, of course, as we have mentioned several times, winner of 6 gold medals at the Olympics in '92, more than any gymnast in a single Olympics. And as it stands right now, he can do no wrong. He competed at the recent World University Games, actually fell all over himself in the preliminary competition, but that didn't matter because when the finals came around, he dominated and won once again.
And he loves the crowd.
We mentioned at the top of the show that this young man flew 11 hours from West Germany just to get here for this performance today. And that's how his life has been these days. Traveling all over the world, doing exhibitions, making a little money. He said, hey, I'm a professional. He's a pretty good businessman. And obviously, he's a terrific showman.
Bart, I just went up to Vitali and told him, you're crazy. I can't believe you're doing this. He goes, of course I'm crazy. Everybody knows that.
Here he goes. Laid out double back, and he just got off an airplane. Few gymnasts in the world can pull that kind of gymnastics off. Look at the height on his tumbling. Even when he does an easy move, like just a full twist, that has such style and such power. You can see he's gotten into the mentality of the gymnastics exhibition tours, playing to the crowd, having a good time. He knows that's what it's all about, entertainment.
Wouldn't you like to do this in competition, Bart? Just take a breather.
I think he's waiting to see. He wants
Wait for the audience to give you some support.
this dismount for you. Double layout.
And a
at the
double
end.
layout at the end.
And that's
The
why
guy
the all-around
is some gifted gymnast. He says he wants to compete all the way till 1996, and we certainly hope we get to see him in those Olympics as well. He finished this exhibition routine with a laid out double back, one of the most difficult moves you can do. And another Olympic star here, and the reigning queen of gymnastics right now, is Shannon Miller, who of course qualified for 4 events in Barcelona. When all the pressure was on favorite Kim Zmeskal, she came away with 5 medals, 2 silvers and 3 bronze. And then last April, she became the world champion in the all-around and on the bars and the floor exercise.
Shannon Miller.
And Bart, this really is one of her best events. She first won a silver medal at the World Championships in '91 on the uneven bars. And then, of course, a bronze medal at the Olympic Games here. And then the gold medal just recently at the World Championships. And here's her special move. Full over the bar, right into a release move. She continues to upgrade the difficulty in her routine. Double layout dismount.
Kathy, she seems to just continue to put great performances together. I spoke to her earlier this week, and she said she's suffering from some back pain, lower back pain, and it sure didn't show in this performance.
10 minutes now for the girls and boys to warm up for their next.
As you said, Bart, she seems to just get better and better and really working on perfecting every skill. And in fact, upgrading her level of difficulty.
As we said, of course, the 5 medals in the Olympics, more than any other American athlete. 4-time winner of the American Cup, world champion in the all-around uneven bars and floor. And Kathy, as she makes her way over to have a word with you, I spoke to Shannon earlier this week, and she said the biggest thing that happened to her this past week was that she got her driver's license, and with some short probationary period, she can't drive on the freeway yet. She is now driving around Edmond, Oklahoma, and making her own way to practice. Here's Kathy with Shannon Miller now.
Thanks, Bart. Shannon, it's been so exciting watching you since the '91 World Championships in Indianapolis just get better and better. And most important, you are so consistent. What is the key to your success?
Well, mostly just a lot of workout and just hard training on the routines over and over.
Now, on the fun side, Bart just mentioned you got a new car, you just got your driver's license. Are you a danger on the freeway in Oklahoma?
Not too much. No, I haven't gotten to drive a lot.
You have to tell us, though, what do you sit on so you can see over the steering wheel?
Not much. Small pillow maybe, but...
Okay, well, that's good. I think everybody wants to know you see the road. Let's go back to Bart.
A small pillow. She's only 4'9". I'll bet it's at least a large pillow at the minimum. We'll be back with more gymnastics here from San Jose.
Sports Authority for bringing world-class sporting events. Team member, and he maintains a 3.25 GPA.
And welcome back to the 1993 San Jose Gymnastics Spectacular. Bart Connor along with Kathy Johnson here at the Event Center on the campus of San Jose State. We're going over now to the parallel bars to take a look at 21-year-old Dennis Harrison out of the University of Nebraska. He was third in the all-around in the NCAA championships this year and sixth on this event, the parallel bars. This show today, of course, an exhibition, not a competition. There are no judges. But the fans of gymnastics have come here to see some of their greatest stars in the sport and some perhaps new stars like this young man, Dennis Harrison. We'll see more of him on the national team in the future for the U.S. Dennis uses a terrific dismount, one that most of the top world-class gymnasts use. That's a double back in the piked position. Notice his legs are straight. It's more difficult to land than a double backflip where your legs are bent or in the tucked position. Well done. And now we're going over to the floor exercise, and the next performer is Olga Yurkina. Interesting story. She was performing in this exhibition along with her twin sister, Yulia. She claims to be 1/4 inch taller, Kathy Johnson, and I just don't know how you could determine if she's exactly 1/4 inch taller than her twin sister.
This is her best event. A radiant double front. Oh, a difficult skill to land, and she had a little trouble with the landing. I've said this before, an exhibition is a perfect opportunity to try new skills, more difficult skills, to try them out with a little bit of pressure with an audience there.
On that note, in competition, the judges are requiring a much higher level of difficulty these days than in the past.
We're seeing so much more front tumbling now because it's been given greater value in the new code of points, so many of the gymnasts are really trying to get that in their routines. Elegant lines, beautiful arm work. More elegant gymnast we've seen. Final tumbling run, triple twist, very difficult at the end of the routine.
A lovely routine from Olga Yurkina to the beautiful music, the Blue Danube.
This is one of my favorite tumbling passes. It takes great technique to perform this skill. It's one somersault, but watch this, 3 twists.
He's won many medals.
Really have to hang it up in the air a long time to get all those twists around.
Still rings at the 93 World Championships, at the 92 European.
Our next performer is Ivan Ivankov. We saw him in the World Championships in Birmingham, where he placed 4th in the all-around. He won the bronze medal on this event. He's only 18 years old and shows all the qualities that a world-class gymnast must have. He's strong, he's quick, he's light. Very powerful. Look at that mount. That's a move called a Maltese cross. And a straight body, straight arm, pressed to a handstand. Look at his body line. That's so impressive. As he shows an inverted iron cross and presses back to a handstand. Watch this move, a double within the rings to a giant swing. And then here comes the dismount. Double layup with a full twist. Such a difficult routine, and he does it with great ease.
Many of you have seen this type of sport.
Watch this complicated move. Within the rings, he does a double back, pushing the rings to the side and hanging on, and finishing it with a giant to a handstand. His dismount, a laid out double back with a full twist.
They've trained together for 7 years.
Wonderful finish for Ivan Ivankov on the still rings. You know, the gymnasts came here yesterday and they worked out at California Sports Center with some of these youngsters yesterday. Future stars? Well, maybe.
So you're not in gymnastics and you'd like to know
Our gymnastics show, featuring exhibitions from the United States gymnasts as well as from Ukraine and Belarus, continues here in San Jose. This is 14-year-old Lilia Podkopaeva. She'll be performing on the balance beam. And Kathy Johnson, she's only 14 years old. She's the youngest performer in today's show, and they just seem to be getting younger and younger and better at the same time.
Definitely better and better. I watched her just do some drills across the floor. The power that she possesses and the technique on some of the tumbling skills is amazing.
Wow.
On somersault onto the beam, I think start to lock your bonus points to score higher. Nice pass, a pumping somersault. That's big.
Combination, extend.
This combination, I think, your gym does well. Interesting head spin. Beautiful amplitude on it. It's always showing a full 180-degree split in the air. Look how high up on her toes she goes to. It's a nice presentation. Here's the dismount. Full twisting double back. Oh, a little off to the side.
Wow. Full twisting double somersault off the balance beam, punching off of only one foot.
Kathy, you're right. It's so great to see a combination of high difficulty and yet clean form and execution in the same gymnast.
Here's that mount, a front somersault.
Competitor was born in 1970.
This is a blind landing. It makes it much more difficult, which is why the judges have upgraded the value of these skills.
Now over to the pommel horse. This is Yuri Yermakov.
Please welcome now Yuri.
1992 Ukrainian champion. He's a student at the Institute of Physical Culture, which is the same for many of our former Soviet champions. They get their degrees in coaching and go on to coach their national teams.
Which is one of the reasons why they've had such a successful program throughout the years.
Yes, they're right. They have so much continuity. Their former champions get back involved in the program and continue to produce more great athletes. Perhaps that's something we could use a little more of in the United States, is involvement from former champions, coaching and helping develop new ones. 22-year-old Yuri Yermakov. Excellent exercise, high degree of difficulty, and beautiful form.
This is one of those TV things.
This is a beautiful opportunity to see the extension in the flare to handstand, pirouettes in the center and then down to the end.
This sunny 16-year-old.
Beautiful finish.
Really, Amanda, that's what it says. Sunny 16.
This is Amanda Borden, who really turned on the gymnastics community last year when she, with her smile and presentation,
Thank you.
They
reminded everybody of just how much fun gymnastics really is.
It's funny they nicknamed her
Her
Pepsodent
favorite
because of
event
her
is floor
smile.
exercise, and she's ready to show you that right now. Let's welcome Cincinnati's own
Maybe she should get a
Amanda
commercial.
Borden.
What do you think?
This is her favorite event, the floor exercise, and she has really upgraded the level of difficulty for her team. For competition, I know she plans a a double layout. That's new for her, and she needed to put it in here to give it a try.
Twisting somersault to the splits. Wow.
Amanda Borden, who even when she's a little off, still with her smile and her presentation reminds us of why we all do gymnastics in the first place, because it's fun.
Here's that in the middle pass. It's a 2.5 twisting somersault. A little more difficult on the landing because it's a blind landing. You don't see the ground. And here's where she tried the triple twist. Very difficult at the end of the routine. And she doesn't quite get up in the air enough. Not quite in the right position to get all the 3 twists around. You can see her legs crossed, and she just can't quite finish the rotation.
1, 2, a little louder, 3.
So we'll be back with more gymnastics here in San Jose as we're being treated to the best gymnasts in the world.
He was a member of the gold medal unified team at the 92.
Now up on the still rings, this is Rustam Sharipov from the Ukraine. And Kathy Johnson, as we get ready to see him perform, he comes out of the Ukraine. And we've talked about the former Soviet Union before, producing so many great champions, but so many have actually come from the Republic of the Ukraine, including Ludmila Tereshcheva.
And she was quick to tell us that they have always been the best republic in the Soviet Union. So now they've got a chance to really prove that on their own.
Watch this strength sequence. Inverted iron cross, Maltese, lower to an iron cross. And hamming it up. Beautiful swing work. And a great dismount. It's so great to see these world-class gymnasts in kind of a relaxed setting. So many times we see them in the intense competitive situation. It's kind of fun to see them perform with the relaxed presentation of an exhibition.
At Dynamo Gymnastics Club in Moscow.
Our performer on the balance beam, Tatiana Lysenko. We saw her earlier on the uneven bars, and Kathy, this is one of her best events, but also it happens to have been one of her more inconsistent events as well.
That's why it was so wonderful to see her finally win a major competition, the Olympic Games, and it was on this event she won the gold medal. It's the balance beam that is gymnastics. It's what gymnastics is all about. No room for error. And it takes the most concentration. Talk with Tatiana at length, and she is such an interesting person. There's quite to say about sport and about giving back to her sport. Very refreshing.
18-year-old Tatiana Lysenko, Olympic gold medalist on the balance beam.
This man comes from
I'll square you at the balance.
his 1984 women's Olympic team.
Sticks the land.
He was selected Athlete of the Year.
We'll
for
be back with more of the
1990
best gymnasts in the
by his
world
national team
here in
members.
San Jose
He's a three-time
after this.
AA champion, was also winner of this year's
Beautiful triple twist.
That's an unusual ending for the 15-year-old from Belarus.
And now welcome back a 21-year-old who recently participated as a member of the gold medal.
More of that front tumbling we've talked about so much throughout the show.
Rings Andre Cohn.
Many of them are still trying to perfect the technique of front tumbling.
We'll be back with more world-class gymnastics, including performances from American Carrie Strug and Igor Korobczynski and Chris Waller when we come back.
At the Chinichi Cup in Nagoya, Japan.
It's the 1993 San Jose Gymnastics Spectacular, featuring performances from the U.S., the Ukraine, and Belarus in exhibition. This is 24-year-old Chris Waller from the U.S. team, formerly a UCLA Bruin. Many-time national champion, Olympian in '92. And this is perhaps his most exciting event. He shows some daring releases and a spectacular dismount. Although he's been most successful in his career on the pommel horse, being a finalist at the Worlds and the Olympics, this is perhaps the event where he goes for the biggest tricks. Watch this. More releases. His dismount is a double twisting, double back.
The high bar gets more and more exciting as the years go by. So many more release moves, much more complex dismounts.
This next young lady's dad is a heart
Chris shows a
surgeon.
combination here of
She's had
release
her
move. That's a
heart
reverse
set
hecht.
to
He's in a
becoming
little
a
close,
pediatrician.
but he manages
She's from
to
Tucson,
tap
Arizona,
and really
is
pump
currently
the second
training
release
in
move,
Oklahoma
the
with Steve
Ginger
Nuno.
backflip with a half
He's
twist,
at
and landed
Dynamo Gymnastics,
right where he
training
wanted
for
to on the
13
bar.
games.
His
This is
dismount
one of her
was a
best
double-double,
events,
two
and
flips
she's
and two
great to
twists, and
watch.
finishes it easily.
Would you please welcome now Tucson's own
Now over to the balance beam.
Carrie Strug.
This is Carrie Strug, who, as we said, is 15 years old, and she is just on the verge of being the best gymnast in the United States, perhaps the best in the world.
This is a new mount for Carrie. Back tuck, kick out, down to the balance beam.
She, of course, trains along with Shannon Miller with Steve Nuno at the Dynamo Gymnastics in Oklahoma City, and that training partnership between those two must be some pretty intense practices.
It really helps each other. They both push each other in workout. Oh, front somersault. Many of the gymnasts performing the front somersaults on beam, they're new to them. layout step outs in a row right here. These gymnasts are really just now getting into competition shape, preparing for the competitive season.
There's a nice combination.
Dismount, double back.
Double tuck off the beam, Carrie Strug.
Very nice routine, particularly considering they're trying to get new skills in that routine, and it's always difficult to perform it for the first time.
Our next athlete is 23 years old and trains at Dynamo Gymnastics.
Here's her two layout step outs.
He won the bronze all-around medal at the 93 World University Games and the
Carrie has
gold
really
medal
been working hard on her form, trying to get legs straight, toes pointed.
At the 1993 World Championships. He's
Of course, the dismount, double back.
Team. Placed first all around at the 92 European Championships.
It's great to see things in slow motion for the audience to see how difficult the skills really are.
That's a good point.
Igor
Now over to the floor exercise. This is Igor
Korobchinsky.
Korobchinsky, who in 1989 was the world champion on this event, and we all felt in 1993 he should have won the World Championships too in Birmingham, but he was robbed. One of the best tumblers in the world.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone stick landings better than he does, time after time.
Watch this second tumbling run. Lay out front, front, front with a half. This is kind of an unusual press to a handstand. Straddles and straddle arm position. Rotation, and he got a laugh out of that. He's 23 years old. Who knows how much more we'll see from this young man. Hopefully we can see him compete for his country, his individual republic in the Atlanta Olympics in '96. With tumbling like that, he might be around for a few more years. And we'll be back with more great gymnastics, including Dominique Daws, Shannon Miller, and Vitali Sherbo. Don't go away.
In Barcelona, she finished with the bronze medal. Challenge in Phoenix, Arizona.
Back here in San Jose for what guarantees to be a spectacular performance, Kathy Johnson. This is Dominique Daws, known as Awesome Dawson. You heard it before. We saw her score a perfect 10 last year in the USA Japan dual meet competition. And this is always a treat for the audience because this routine is not to be believed.
And Bart, it might be the last time we see this routine. She's picking out new music and preparing a new exercise for the upcoming competitive season. So I'm glad we get to see it one more time. The crowd loves it. Very energetic. And wait till you see this tumbling. Everyone waits to see. And back the other way to a double back. It was really nice to see at the 92 Olympic Games in Barcelona, where she was really an unknown gymnast. She really got everyone's attention with this floor exercise.
She placed 26th in the all-around in Barcelona, and then in '93 at the Worlds moved all the way up to 4th place in the all-around. We asked her at the press conference if she was happy with that. She goes, "That's pretty good for me."
Two and a half twists. That's new for Dominique. She's also working on a triple twist to put at the end of her routine.
Dominique Daws, United
Great
States
exercise.
Olympic team.
Kathy, it's always fun to watch this center tumbling combination.
It's funny, Bart, you can tell that they're just getting in competition shape because she really is working on this pass, and there's so much in it. She's really pushing hard on these back handsprings to get enough momentum to lift into this double back. Just barely pulls it around.
He's a student at the Physical Culture Academy and has won many Olympic, World, and European Championship titles.
So from Dominique Daws, who treats the crowd all the time to her explosive performance, we go now over to the parallel bars. And of course, this is Vitali Sherbo, who, by the way, was this year the 13th recipient of the Jesse Owens International Award, honoring the top amateur athlete in the world. He's the father of a new baby girl, Christina, who's about 6 months old. Olympic champion on this event. Whoops. What's happening there? Sherbo obviously clowning around with his performance. But even amidst all the clowning around, he still has amazing technique and difficulty for a guy who just got off the airplane flying 11 hours from Europe to be here to do this performance with grace and personality and even a little clowning around. This is where he spread his legs on the Healy twirl and took a beat and then decided, I'm going to try that again, and then of course did it in typical Sherbo style perfectly. Now over to the reigning queen of women's gymnastics. This is Shannon Miller, of course, out of Edmond, Oklahoma. This is Kathy Johnson, perhaps Shannon's most exciting event because she can do everything on the balance beam.
She has one of the most difficult balance beam routines I've ever seen done in the world, and in fact, she's upgraded the level of difficulty. This is a new mount. Front somersault. I thought her routine was difficult enough, but this new code of points is very unusual, so they have to kind of play the rule books. And she's picking skills that will give her the most bonus points in order to score the highest possible.
We've said so many times that she's so clean and perfect on beam. Why do you think Shannon Miller is so great on the balance beam?
I think she said the key to her success was a lot of hard work, and I know that for a fact. They spend many, many hours in the gym, many repetitions of individual skills and then the routines. Takes a lot of dedication, a lot of sweat, hard work. And that's the Miller, a move that she invented and introduced at the World Championships in 1993 in Birmingham.
Perhaps that's one of the important goals for every gymnast, is to invent a move, have it named after them, and leave a legacy in the sport.
And Bart, I left out one thing else. She's extremely talented.
World champion for the United States, Shannon Miller.
World all-around champion, only the second American woman to do that, of course. Kim Zmeskal, the first woman from the American team to win the all-around title. She did that in 1991. Succeeded, of course, now Shannon, winner of the all-around and 2 individual events at the recent World Championships.
Shannon's been changing around her passes on balance beam, so it's hard to say what she's going to do in competition. She, as you said, she can do anything.
If this is your first chance at watching gymnastics, we hope you'll run right home tomorrow.
We'll be back with some final thoughts of our show here in San Jose right after this.
These kids are great athletes.
And welcome back one final time here to San Jose. The Gymnastics Spectacular is over, and we have an opportunity to speak with Steve Nuno, the coach of the top 2 gymnasts in the United States right now. Shannon Miller, of course, the top gymnast in the world, and Carrie Strug. And Steve, in many ways, you have sort of taken over the reins of Bella Caroli, at least for the time being, with your top stars. Where do you take these kids from here?
Well, we've got a world championship coming up in April in Australia, so we're going to try to get ready for that competition and try to defend the title. I mean, it only goes to show if you're going to win the gold, the best feeling is to be able to defend it. So Shannon's going to try to defend it, and of course Carrie's coming on strong.
Now, the '96 Olympics aren't that far away. I bet people are asking you right now, hey, is Shannon going to be there?
Absolutely. I mean, that isn't a long-term plan, but we're trying to take it year by year because it is 3 years away, even at this point, 2.5 years. And we still have a Team World Championship ahead of us. That's our big focus, is trying to, now with the breakup of the ex-Soviet Union, we now have to really make our mark as a country.
Steve, we've seen so many great gymnasts, the last one being Kim Zmeskal, go really strong for about 2 years, stay on top, be very consistent, and then sometimes fade. It's a very difficult sport to maintain that peak performance. What is your strategy to keep Shannon going?
Well, that's the coach's job. I've got to try to keep that carrot out there, and one of the things that really spurs Shannon on is to doing new tricks. And here at the exhibition, she performed her front-on mount on balance beam, and she's really excited to do that. It was a little rough, but she was excited to be able to perform it, and I think she's really excited about doing new skills.
Well, we look forward to her defending her title at the World Championships.
Thank you, Kathy.
Best of luck to you, Steve.
Thank you, Bart.
Thanks for being here. Well, Kathy, you have some final thoughts on today's gymnastics performance? It's always nice to see many of the top gymnasts in the world in a relaxed setting like an exhibition like this.
That's what I was going to say, Bart. It's fun to see them have fun and show gymnastics for what it is. It is a lot of fun, and it's an entertainment sport. Take the competition away, some of the nerves are gone, and they can just relax a little bit and have a good time.
Well, that's the story here from San Jose. For Kathy Johnson, I'm Bart Connor. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.